Hi, it's Carl Ford with Dermot O'Shea from Taoglas. He is the joint managing director.
Correct.
And Dermot, I listened to your presentation, and to me, it is all about the antennas right now and how we make sure that we've got the right coverage. We've got so much new deployments going on, and knowing that you've got the coverage is essential. So, you were talking about how you help guide customers. Why don't you talk about getting involved early for people when they're trying to get through the certification process?
Yeah, so when we talked about it, like a lot of the focus is obviously on the antennas and getting the network coverage out there, but a very important part of that is the transmit and receive sensitivity of the wireless product itself. So you can have, great coverage or okay coverage, but if the device itself is not able to transmit and receive efficiently, then you're not going to have a good network experience. So, rather than blaming the network, we try and solve that problem at the very beginning of the design cycle. So talk to the customer when they're designing their product and help them select the right antenna solution for their product to keep their RF performance high and their antenna performance high, so that when at the end of their design, when they are ready for network certification, that they can do that quickly and so that they can get to market and be successful themselves.
Yeah, and another aspect of what you were talking about was the fact that people have a tendency to think about this at the very beginning of the process without necessarily following through with understanding how things are going to be enclosed. So they'll sit there and say, oh, I've got this figured out, and then they're going to add enclosures that in effect change the dynamics of the antenna. So that's kind of essential for why you guys get involved early, right?
Oh yeah, like when we speak to customers, they've probably already selected. Most M2M customers would use a pre-certified module. They've probably already selected that, and they've laid out, what the device dimensions are going to be, where they're going to mount it, and things like that. And what size battery they need, but they may not have thought about the antenna, and that's the time to think about it. Not to go ahead and make the enclosure and spend money on the design and then try and integrate an antenna at the later stage. The earlier in the design process that a customer can speak to us about antenna requirements, the easier that we can make the antenna an RF cycle on them, and so we can make it quicker, easier, more cost effective the earlier they talk to us. The later you leave it, the higher the chances of certification issues. So therefore you're going to delay your design process. You're going to maybe have to go back and rejig things, maybe even change enclosures and things like that. And that costs a lot of money. People don't want to do it. So plan early. That's the best preparation.
And you mentioned two areas of active expansion in the marketplace right now. One was in active antennas, which I'd like you to kind of explain, and the other was in near-field communication.
Yeah, so active antennas will be seen in cell phones and tablets from next year in the market. They'll be shipping next year. That they're mainly antennas to solve the 4G issue, where you have a very wide bandwidth requirement, is one. Two, here in the United States, the frequency for 4G goes down to 700 megahertz, meaning that physically you need a larger antenna to receive that lower frequency more efficiently, because it's a longer wavelength. And third, you have more wireless functionality inside. So you can't just make it a 4G antenna. It's got to be able to go back to 3G as well in areas of no coverage. And then you most likely have GPS, Wi-Fi, NFC inside. So it's a challenging area that you're left with to get an efficient wideband antenna. So the solution is active antennas for cellular. So switches and RF circuits that can help tune the antenna dynamically or switch the antenna frequency depending on the location and the environment to receive those 4G antennas, and give that antenna more bandwidth depending on what country they're in or what network they're on.
So now that we've dealt with the antennas for 4G, let's get closer and talk about what's going on with near-field communication.
Yeah, so again, we'll see it in the cell phones next year. All the cell phones will have an NFC tag. So M2M customers are starting to see an opportunity there, because if every cell phone has it, and your M2M device has a reader that can communicate with that, that's an opportunity. So we've done some NFC designs already. It's still early in the M2M process, but I think it's an interesting area. And when more people see the scope and opportunity there, the size of that opportunity, because you can talk to every cell phone can be a payment terminal. I think we'll see a huge demand and requirement for that in M2M devices going forward.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dermot. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.